तस्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वं सच्चित्सुखं परमहंसगतिं तुरीयं यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवेति नित्यं तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः। The first 5 verses talking about the concept that knowledge of the self alone liberates. Liberation happens only through knowledge is the topic. So what we are trying to understand is how it is explained that how liberation is possible only through knowledge. The first difficulty that we have with this idea that knowledge of the self alone liberates is the first clarification that the first doubt a person might have is, I have been hearing and studying already, so I have so much of knowledge. Since there is so much of knowledge, I should have been liberated already. The very fact that I have so much of knowledge and I have not gone anywhere closer to liberation also itself is a proof that knowledge is not going to liberate. Now, how do you, these are all the doubts that a person have. So we say, you know it, you have heard about it, you have heard about it, you know it, but there is no attempt made to actually realize what you have heard. Therefore, knowledge has not yet, therefore, for all practical purposes, there is no knowledge. Second is, knowing is becoming. I'm just summarizing what we have been discussing till now. Knowing is becoming. So, knowing not in the sense of knowing an object which is different from you, knowing as in the sense of becoming. So, knowledge of the self alone liberates. In order to become, two things has to be done. In order to become, two things has to be done. What are the two things? First is the existing karmas, the existing vasanas has to be eradicated. Then manana, nididhyasana and all that has to be done so that knowing turns into becoming. What is known theoretically now converts into a becoming. Once that part happens, we can always say that you know. Now, in order to, if knowing is becoming, means a lot of effort is required from your side. Sheer knowing doesn't require that much of effort. Becoming requires a lot of effort from your side. From your side means from the side of the seeker, from the side of the person who's doing a sadhana, lot of effort is required in order to become. Therefore, knowledge of the self alone liberates. And what is the effort? Most of the people have the knowledge, but where they miss is the first, where they miss out is in the first verse. Even those who have this knowledge a lot miss out a lot when it comes to the first verse. When I say the first verse, what is meant is the sadhana chatushtayam. The fourfold qualifications that is needed is not there. Because of those fourfold qualifications not being there, how much ever you hear, how much ever you can talk, how much ever you keep reading very many books, very many discourses, very many attempts, of attention not being paid to those. That's where people ask, sir, so many times people have, we have so much of, so much of knowledge. We have so much of knowledge. We have so much of understanding, and all this is happening. Though so much of knowledge and understanding is happening, transformation has not yet. Reasons for transformation is you don't pay attention to the sadhana chatushtayam. The sadhana, paying attention to sadhana chatushtayam makes your makes the knowledge that you have, brings about a transformation. Otherwise, it just stays as, we don't call it as knowledge. We don't say it as knowledge. We use another word for this, what is known as information. It simply stays with you as information. Information is not going to bring about any transformation. Therefore, here he says is, knowledge of the self alone liberates. For the knowledge of the self to happen, you need to have this adhikaritvam, the fourfold qualifications. And when you are developing these fourfold qualifications, you should understand very clearly that these fourfold qualifications is a preparation, and that preparation, with this preparation, you gain more and more knowledge. That knowledge liberates. And to establish the point that it is, you are that already. It is not a knowing. It is not product of the effort and all that. In the verse 3 that we have finished already, he says, action cannot destroy ignorance, as it is opposed to ignorance. Knowledge alone destroys ignorance. So to establish the fact that you should not misunderstand that you are getting this moksha or liberation is going to happen through action. To establish that, he has already said, action cannot destroy ignorance, as it is not opposed to ignorance. Now, all this we have studied, all this we have covered, all this we have covered already. All this we have studied already. Now we move on to verse number 4. Verse number 4 reads, Parichinna iva jnana tannashe sati kevalaha swayam prakashate atma megapayem shumaniva. Parichinna iva jnana tannashe sati kevalaha swayam prakashate atma megapayem shumaniva. Atman, self, seems limited because of ignorance. When ignorance is destroyed, verily Atman alone shines by itself like the sun when the cloud passes. Again, the meaning. Atman, self, seems limited because of ignorance. When ignorance is destroyed, Verily, Atman alone shines by itself like the sun when the cloud passes. The example here is like the sun when the cloud passes. The cloud appears to have covered the sun. The cloud can cover the cloud cannot cover it. Atman seems limited because of ignorance. Atman seems limited. Oh, it is. Oh, the listening is okay. Just hold on. I don't know why my internet is like this. Oh, happened 3 times already. Now let us see. You all heard what I've been saying for the last 15 minutes, no? I'm assuming that it is being heard, and I kept and I ஏதோ எல்லாரும் கேக்குறான்னு நினைச்சு நானும் பேசினே இருக்கேன். And நல்லா இருக்குது சார் இதுதான். This is very nice because you keep talking, we can't hear, and a very good interaction. At least thank God after 15 minutes Bhaskar Shastri woke up and said nothing is working. For information, we started verse number 4. Atmabodha verse number 4. Mohan, thanks Mohan. You heard Apada. Oral kettarpa fulla till now. Verse number 4. Atman seems limited because of ignorance. When ignorance is destroyed, verily Atman alone shines by itself like the sun when the cloud passes. First thing is, Atman seems limited because of ignorance. What is this Atman being limited? Appears to be limited. Atman, in the sense of the Supreme Self, seems to be limited because of ignorance. First thing that is the limitation that it seems to be is the person believes that through the body, mind, intellect equipments, the Atman can be recognized, understood. That is one limitation. The second is, as the self you are, what is the notion that you have about yourself? What is the notion what is the understanding that everybody has about themselves? The notion that you have about yourself is you are a person in bondage and you have to have liberation. Whereas the truth is, that's what he's saying, which may sound very difficult for us to understand. But what he's saying is, the fact that you think you are in bondage, the fact that you think you are limited itself is because of ignorance. Whereas the truth is you are not. Whereas the reality is you are not bound. Whereas the reality is you are the truth yourself. When you are the truth yourself, and when you are when you believe that you are bound, that belief, that notion that you have about your own self, that you are limited, restricted, constricted, in bondage, is ignorance. That is ignorance. So what Vedanta comes and does, you think you are in bondage, the very fact is you can never be bound. Whenever he says you, what you have to hear it as you, the self in you, not the you as in the body mind intellect component, not the jiva component, not the sharira component, not the jiva component. The jiva, the sharira that you have is like a cloud covering the sun. That's what ignorance is. The body, the mind, the intellect equipments that you have, the jiva that you believe you are is like a cloud that is covering the sun. Whereas in reality, just as the cloud cannot cover the sun, ignorance cannot bound the Atman. And what is the definition of ignorance? You should always remember the definition of ignorance is the notion that you have about your own self is ignorance. That is the definition of ignorance. Again, I repeat, what is the definition of ignorance? The definition of ignorance is the notion that you have about your own self. What is the notion that you have about your own self? You are limited. You are in bondage. You are suffering. Again, I repeat, what is the notion that everybody has about themselves? They are limited. We are in bondage. I am limited. I am limited. I am in bondage. I am suffering. And I want freedom from all this. I find myself limited. And I am so suffocated by this limitation. I want to become limitless. I am so bound and I am so suffocated by this bondage that I want to become free from this. I feel that how much ever I try and all that, happiness and sukham is more like a hope. The reality is pain and suffering. Now, this notion that you have about yourself is ignorance. And this ignorance appears to have covered the self, like the cloud covering the sun. As long as you believe that you are limited, as long as you believe that you are restricted, constricted, this ignorance will continue. This ignorance will continue. That's why I'm defining what is the notion of ignorance. The notion of ignorance is I am restricted. I am limited. I am constricted. I am restricted. I am in bondage. I want to become free. I want happiness. Now, all this is ignorance. And because of this ignorance, this is what he is saying. Because of this ignorance, which is covering the self, when the Shastra says you are the self, you are not able to realize it. Just as the cloud covering. Are you able to follow? Because of the wrong notion that you have about your own self, that you are this constricted, restricted, limited personality. And this limited personality is what you have, you are so convinced you are today. And when the Shastra says, when Vedanta says, when the self-realized master tells us that you are the self, you are the unlimited, you are the reality, we are not able to conceive it, we are not able to accept it. Because of what? Because of like the cloud covering the sun. Now, the most wonderful comparison in this example of the sun covering the cloud that appears to have covered the sun. The most beautiful comparison here is the cloud that has covered the sun, and you are declaring that there is no sun, and the very fact that you are able to declare that there is no sun is only because of the sun. That's the comparison. That's why it is one. Every simile has one extraordinary aspect of comparison. The extraordinary aspect of comparison here is when the cloud has covered the sun and you say that there is no sun, you are able to say that there is no sun only because of the support of the sunlight. You need to stretch your what he says as you need to stretch your gray matter a little bit and try to understand this. Even when it is the light of the sun which enables him to see the cloud covering it. Again, beautiful example. It is the light of the sun which enables him to see the cloud covering it. Deriving the support from the sun, he says there is no sun. As the ignorance. That's what he calls as ignorance. You derive the support from the sun and declare that there is no sun. Atman exists at all times, even as you declare it is not there. Even as you declare today that I do not know what Atman is, I do not know what Brahman is, I don't believe in this thing called there is this Brahman. Even as you are saying all these, what is making you to say this? What is enabling you to say this? The very Atman itself is enabling you to say this. The very Brahman, the very self itself is enabling you to say this, but you don't recognize it. Just as because of the sunlight that you are able to see the cloud covering the sun, and because of that sunlight you are saying that there is no sun. That which enables you to say that it is not there is that. Sir, this is sir quibbling with words. This is just playing with. These are all just playing with words, sir. Idellam chumma. This doesn't. All these are nice to. What else to do? What else he can do? He's trying his best to. He's trying his best to explain that there is the sun, and bathing in the sunlight, experiencing the sunlight, enjoying the sunlight. When the person says there is no sunlight now, what can he do? Very beautiful in the Bhagavad Gita, in the middle portion of the Bhagavad Gita, also in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Yaha pashyati, saha pashyati. Whoever sees it, sees it. Beautiful. Atman self seems limited because of ignorance. Now, what is ignorance? The wrong notion that you have about yourself is ignorance. Now, what knowledge does? It comes and removes the wrong notion that you have about yourself. It comes and removes the wrong notion that you have about yourself. What is the wrong notion that you have about yourself? The first wrong notion that you have about yourself is you have a date of birth. You have a date of birth is the first wrong notion. As you believe that you have a date, as you are so convinced that you have a date of birth, what will you have? Definitely a date of death also. You have a date of birth, and we all have a date of death, which we do not know. Avladhan. But the fact that we do not know doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Yeah, that's the logic. The fact that we do not know doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Therefore, there is a date of birth and there is the date of death. So the very fact that there is a beginning and the end means you are limited. The very fact that there is a beginning and there is an end means there is a limitation. How much ever you can hear this motivational talk, these inspirational talks, and saying that you have infinite potential, you are only using 2% of your brain, 97-98% of your brain is not. How much ever you hear all these motivational talks and all that, half an hour later, it goes back to the same constricted, restricted, limited individual. Opposite of that is the Vedanta here. Now what Vedanta says is, carefully follow, the entire knowledge is, now 10 verses is going to explain it. Verses number 16 to 15 is going to explain it. Superimposition is ignorance. You have to be very clear in this concept of superimposition. Unless you are very clear about the idea, about this concept of superimposition, it is very difficult to understand the entire knowledge of Vedanta, because the knowledge of Vedanta is resting on this idea, idea means the law, the principle, that it is a superimposition. Don't worry about that. We are going to verse number 6, length 15 varikun 10 verses, we are going to see how the material equipments superimpose. So superimposition is what makes you to believe that you are the restricted, limited self. And the conviction that you have that you are limited, restricted, constricted individual and you have to attain moksha is ignorance. A limited can never become unlimited. But the unlimited can temporarily be covered. Again, I repeat, this is the entire knowledge. The limited can never become unlimited. The finite can never become infinite. But the infinite can temporarily be covered. When we say temporarily be covered means because of ignorance. The temporary covering is ignorance. So verse number 4. Atman seems limited because of ignorance. When ignorance is destroyed. What is the destruction of ignorance? Understand, destruction of ignorance doesn't mean gaining knowledge, ignorance gets destroyed. What is ignorance getting destroyed means? Ignorance getting destroyed means recognizing as it is. That's what ignorance getting destroyed means. It's not that you gain some more knowledge, you gain some more information, you read 5 more books and ignorance gets destroyed. For ignorance doesn't get destroyed in that sense. In Vedanta, when we say ignorance getting destroyed, ignorance get destroyed in the sense of the very ignorance itself is a superimposition, a covering, and even this ignorance itself is supported by the reality behind it. So even when you are declaring that I am ignorant, even when you are declaring that I am a bandha, I am a person in bondage, even when you are declaring all this, what is it that is actually enabling you to say all this? What is it that is actually enabling you to say all this? The self is enabling you to say all this. just as the cloud covering the sun. The cloud cannot cover the sun. The cloud doesn't have the capacity to cover the sun, but it appears to cover. Appearance itself is, so this is where you need to be very clear in this concept. It is an appearance. It is a superimposition. So it is appearing, it is superimposed, and the superimposition has to be understood as superimposition. This is knowledge. Recognizing the superimposition as superimposition is what knowledge is all about. And the comparison, I'm just repeating myself again. The comparison here is the light of the sun, which enables him to see the cloud covering it. Similarly, when a person declares that there is God, when a person declares that there is no God, it doesn't really matter whether you declare there is God or you declare there is no God. Both are possible because of the self, the God. Self, Atman, God, Brahman, you, the I, all are used synonymously. Sometimes we say you. Sometimes we use the word I. Sometimes we say self. Sometimes we say Brahman. Sometimes we say divinity. Sometimes we say God, self. Now all are synonymous. All means the same. Therefore, discussing the simile in detail more. In the simile of the sun and the cloud, the sun is ever shining. The comparison. The sun is ever shining. When we say the sun is ever shining, what does it mean? The sun is ever shining means sun exists at all times. Sun is ever shining means it exists at all times. It is self-effulgent that it doesn't require any other method, any other instrument to know it. Second comparison is it is self-effulgent. It knows itself by itself. This is the wonderful description Yajnavalkya gives to Maitreyi. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajnavalkya gives this beautiful explanation to Maitreyi. Maitreyi, the wife, the student; Yajnavalkya, the husband, the teacher. Here the conversation is between the husband and the wife. The guru is the husband, the Shishya is the wife. Beautiful explanation he gives. What is it? Self-effulgent. What is self-effulgent means? In the world, all the knowledges are dependent upon an instrument. All the knowing in the world is dependent upon an instrument of knowledge. It means it is in the presence of the instrument only with the help of the instrument, only with the presence of the instrument, you will be able to recognize the presence of something. Are you able to follow? How do you know that I am sitting here? You need two instruments, the eyes and the ears. So my presence to you is dependent on the instrument. Therefore, the knowing that I am sitting here is instrument based, dependent on the instrument. Are you okay till now? Dellam konja mathematical, a little bit of analytical thing. Atma Bodha is that. Now, if it is instrument dependent, what does it mean? If the knowledge is instrument dependent, it is conditioned by that instrument. Supposing I have a cataract eye, I will be seeing you differently. I remove the glass, I see only hazy, I see something very hazy only. Any knowledge or all knowledges, all worldly knowledges are dependent knowledge. The eyes is dependent upon something, that is dependent upon something else, that is dependent upon something else. Therefore, you find all worldly knowledges are dependent. The knowledge of self, the knowledge of Brahman is not a dependent knowledge, it is self-effulgent. It doesn't need any other instrument to recognize it. This is where we talk about the various instruments and the pramanams. You know something, or you say it is there, or you say it is not there. Okay. For example, when you say it is there, it is pratyaksha pramana. When you say it is not there, for example, you come at 7:45. You come at 7:45 and you all switch on. 7:46, 7:47, 7:48. I didn't come. And then Venkat will be thinking whether should I call or not. Before Venkat can decide to call or not, Bhaskar Shastri would have made 5 calls already. There, where are you? Where? And my phone is switched off also. Now, am I there or am I not there? My presence, I come in here, my presence is established. It is dependent on it is dependent on the instrument. Are you okay till now? Anything that is dependent on that instrument cannot be an absolute knowledge. That is why when the instruments get refined, the knowledge also keeps, the conclusions also keep changing. That's why we say all worldly knowledges or related knowledges are dependent on an instrument, and when the quality of the instrument changes, the conclusion also changes. And what are the instruments that we have to know anything? The instruments that we have to know anything is the body, the mind, the intellect. Through the senses, I know something. The mind, the senses give me a knowledge of something. The mind gives me the knowledge of something which the senses cannot give. What the senses cannot give, the mind gives. Now, what the senses and mind cannot give, the intellect gives. And a human being has only these 3 instruments of knowledge. Only these 3 instruments through which we can know anything. What are the 3 things? The senses meaning the body, the mind, and the intellect. So all that you know is dependent on what? All that you know is dependent on the instrument. Any knowledge that you derive based on the support of the instrument, that knowledge is called limited relative. It is not absolute. It cannot be absolute. Why it cannot be absolute? Because when the instruments change, when the quality of the instrument change, the conclusions also keep changing. This is perfectly all right in relation to the world. But when we talk about Atman, the self, the God, the Brahman, it is self-effulgent. It is self-effulgent. What is self-effulgent means? It knows itself by itself. It enlivens everything, but it doesn't require an instrument to recognize itself. This is self-effulgent. That is why sun is used as an example to explain the self-effulgent nature. Ramatirtha gives a beautiful example for the self-effulgent. The example that he gives is this. A girl has become pregnant for the first time. She has not watched any of the serials. She has not watched any of the movies. So she doesn't know what child, for she has no knowledge of, only if you see the movies and the serials and all that, you know very well what childbirth is the most excruciating, painful thing. So you start believing that you have to have so much of pain and all that. No, that lady has not seen any of these things. Maybe imagine that she is a tribal tribal woman. 7th month, 8th month, she is sleeping more and more. So what she does is, she calls the mother and she tells the mother that nowadays I am feeling very sleepy and I have not I want to see my child being born. So in case as I am sleeping, if my child is born, wake me up. Are you able to follow? As I am sleeping, if my child is born, wake me up, for I need to see my child being born. The mother said, you sleep, don't worry. When the time comes, not only you will be awake, you will keep the whole town also awake. You don't need any other instrument to know it. The presence of the eyes is dependent upon the object. The object is the proof of your eyes is the presence of the object. The presence of the object is because of your eyes. In the logic Purino. Again I repeat. The presence of the proof of the eyes is the presence of the object. Again, the presence of the object is proved only because of the eyes. This is called mutual. This is called mutual dependency. Relative knowledge. The presence of the object is related to the eyes. The eyes is related to the object. Are you able to follow? If you are able to understand this, logic, you know how all worldly knowledges are relative, how everything is so conditioned, limited, and what he means by self-effulgent. Are you able to hear me? Is it clear? Okay. I'm saying something very important. I don't want anybody, sir, I will be in difficulty. The proof of the eyes is the presence of the object. Are you able to follow this? Only when you see the objects around you, you know that you have an eyes. Okay, the presence of the, how do you know that? What is the proof for the existence of the object? your eyes. So your eyes proves the object proves the aina. What is it called? What is it called? தமிழ்ல இதுதான் சொல்றோம் இல்லையா? in Tamil they say no, திருடன் கையில சாவி கொடுக்கிறதுன்றது. You leave the keys with the thief. ஏன்னா both are, one is dependent on the other. One is so dependent on the other. So when one goes, the other goes automatically. It means what? Sir, இது நாள் வரைக்கும் வேதாந்தா எல்லாம் புரிஞ்சுன்னு வந்தது எங்களுக்கு. We thought we were understanding Vedanta all along. The Atma Bodha, the day you started Atma Bodha, we are completely confused. We never knew this is what Vedanta is, and we didn't sign up for this Vedanta. Yeah, we signed up for some other Vedanta. I don't know whatever Vedanta you have signed up for. This is what Vedanta is. This is what Vedanta is. I think Anbalagan is having a problem with on his side. I think he's not able to hear. Others are hearing. No. Yeah, this is the divinity. Look at that. I'm talking so much, and he's not able to. So according to him, nothing is happening. Even though nothing is happening. Why? Because one instrument is gone. His side of it is gone completely. Therefore, the presence of the other also doesn't make any. This is called dependent knowledge, dependent understanding. Atman self is not dependent like this. It is self-effulgent. It is self-effulgent. That's why in the world, you are so dependent on the object is so dependent on you. Distinct and different from this mutual dependency is pure awareness, pure consciousness. Distinct and different from this mutual thing, where conditioned knowledge is the pure consciousness, the pure self. The example to convey that it is self-effulgent is the sun. How does sun convey self-effulgent? Sun conveys the self-effulgent by saying that the proof of the sunlight is not an instrument. The proof of the sunlight is the proof for the sunlight is the sunlight itself. The proof, again I repeat, the proof for the sunlight is sunlight itself. It means it is self-effulgent. It knows itself by itself. It doesn't need any other instrument for knowing. Maitreyi asks Yajnavalkya this question. When all instruments knowledge are gone, when all instruments of knowledge are incapable of recognizing the self, who recognizes whom? What recognizes what? How will I know that? How will I know that I have? How will I know that I have known it? Are you able to follow? In all worldly knowledges, you need somebody to certify that you know it. Self-effulgent knowledge எல்லாம் வேர்ல்ட்ல ஒத்துக்க மாட்டோம். எனக்கு மெடிசின் தெரியும்னாலாம் nobody will agree. மெடிக்கல் காலேஜ்ல போய் படிச்சு சர்டிபிகேஷன் இருக்கா? So all knowledges has to be certified. Are you able to follow? Here it is self-effulgent. It doesn't need any other It doesn't need any other external thing to, it doesn't need any other external proof. I know medicine. What is the proof? Self-declaration that I know medicine is not acceptable, no? Huh? Self-declaration is not acceptable. Or if somebody self-declares and if you go to that person for treatment, na, even God can't help you, no? So here self-effulgent means there is no other external factor that can verify it, certify it, prove it. Atman, Brahman is that. And you are that Brahman. Abdinna, something, something should happen. If nothing is happening, don't worry. We will hear it again. And someday something will definitely happen. Something should stir inside. Something will stir inside. What is it? How that infinite, I am misunderstanding it to be the finite. How that infinite is misunderstood as finite. The sun is ever shining. It is self-effulgent. A passing cloud appears to have covered it. And even when you declare that I am not able to see the sun, you are having a light to declare that there is no sun. And even when you are declaring that there is no sun, you are declaring that there is no sun, taking the support from the sun himself. Yeah. அது itself-னு சொல்றதா, himself-னு சொல்றதா, herself-னு சொல்றதா தெரியல சன்னுக்கு. Yeah, we don't know himself or herself or itself. You take the support of the sun to declare that there is no sun. Similarly, because of ignorance, even when an atheist declares that there is no God, that which enables him to declare that there is no God is the God. He is declaring it because he is seeing it through the, as long as you try to see God through the body, mind, intellect, equipment, all are atheist only. Yeah? All are atheist only as long as you try to see God through the body, mind, intellect, equipments. Because through the body, mind, intellect, equipments, if you try to see God, the honest conclusion that you have to come to, if you have some honesty and some integrity, the conclusion that you have to come to is what? There is no God. Why? Because the instrument cannot using the wrong instrument. Star screwdriver வச்சிட்டு இன்னொரு இத ஓபன் பண்றவங்க ட்ரை பண்ணா, there are two types of we have, no, one is the star and another is the, அதுக்கு என்ன பேரோ தெரியல, normal one. You use that one to unscrew the other and then say it is not there. So even when the person declares that there is God, it is because of, even when the person declares that there is no God, that which enables him to declare that there is no God again is God. Now here we are all sitting, supposed to be theist, no? At least we are all theist here, no? எவ்வளவு பேர் இருக்காங்க தெரியல எனக்கு இப்போ, இல்லையா? கிளாஸுக்கு அப்புறமா வெங்கட் நம்பர் அனுப்பிச்சாதான் I will know. At least we are all supposed to be theist. Theist means believers, not knowers of God, believers. And believing God doesn't make any sense. It is like saying I believe there is sun. You should say I know there is sun. You don't say I believe in sun. You should say I I know there is sun. Enlightened master is one who says, I know. I know. And how does he know? He doesn't know. He doesn't know because of the support that he has taken from any instrument. He knows it because the covering has been removed. When you remove the apparent covering, the Atman reveals itself. So, the concept here, what is he trying to say? Ignorance is an superimposition. Ignorance is not real. Ignorance is a superimposition. Superimposition means which is not there. Superimposition means this. Under some terms and conditions, influenced by those conditions, you see something which is not there. That's superimposition. Again, I repeat, what is superimposition? Superimposition means because of some conditions present at that particular point of time, you see that which is not there. This is called superimposition. Material equipments superimpose. Material equipments are superimposition. Therefore, he says, when the cloud passes, the sunshine, which is already there, reveals itself. That's why it's called a revelation. It reveals itself. Anything that it reveals itself, and when it reveals itself, it doesn't need the support of any instrument to recognize its presence. In the world, you need the presence of an instrument to know anything. Minus the instrument, you can never know anything. The phenomena of sound exist only because of the ears that is there. Supposing if the ears are not there, the phenomena of sound itself doesn't exist. The phenomena of colors, the shape, the rupa is because of the eyes. Eyes are not there, you will never know it. Supposing if we have 10 we have 5 jnanendriyas. Supposing if we have 7 jnanendriyas, we may see something so different. Okay, even the existing indriyas, if it is tuned to a different frequency, we will see something else. When we see something else, what we see now becomes non-existent. So all the worldly knowledges are dependent knowledges, mutually dependent. The knowledge of Atman, the self, the Brahman is not like that. And you are that. And you are that. Now we read the verse again. Parichinna ivajnana tannashe sati kevalaha swayam prakashate atma megapayem shumaniva. Atman seems limited because of ignorance. When ignorance is destroyed, verily Atman alone shines by itself like the sun when the cloud passes. Verse number 4. Is it okay? There are so much is there. Okay, Bhaskar Shastri. Are we really in control of our destiny? Is this ignorance a deliberate imposition on the self by the higher consciousness, and so to set ourselves free? The effort we take to get out of this situation, inspired by the divine as per the destiny principle, what makes us seek, or what makes us seek liberation? Now, what Bhaskar is saying is, what makes us seek liberation? What makes you seek liberation? Because you are the self. You are that, and that itself is what is driving you to seek. There is no other force that is driving you to seek liberation. It is not the family problem that is driving. You don't have a family problem, I know. It is not the family problem is driving you to seek liberation. It is not the fear of a disease or the fear of death that is driving you to seek liberation. What is driving you to seek liberation? What drives anybody to seek liberation? Not the pain and sorrow and suffering of life. The recognition that this is limited, and I want to pursue that. I want to know that which is beyond limitations. It is this drive, it is this mumukshatva that drives a person to seek liberation. Are you able to follow? What is it that drives a person to seek liberation? Your own intrinsic nature. Because of your own intrinsic nature, you are seeking liberation. That's why I started by saying, because of conditioning, you believe that you are restricted, constricted, limited. If you being limited, constricted, restricted is the permanent reality, you can never seek liberation. Like a simple example. Don't quote this example out of context and all that. A dog is a best dog on birth itself. It will never make an effort to become a better dog. Does it do that? It will try to survive. It will try to survive. It will try to procreate. All that it will do. But one thing the dog will not do is what? One thing the dog can never think of is what? I should become a better dog. There is no betterment possible there. Why? Because that possibility itself doesn't exist. You may have a dog, you don't have a dog. That's why I'm giving this example. Yeah. Rupa illa nanikiren in the class la. Theriyala Rupa irkalo illiyo enakku. Rupa irundha she'll get very angry. How dare you talk about dogs? That's why you people are, human beings are all very arrogant. What to do now? Ido or example kudukka vendirukku. Yeah. Venkat, Rupa avan mute panni vitrunga irundaka. Ava kekkaadu vitrunga avula. The possibility of betterment existing itself, because that's your intrinsic nature. The possibility of betterment itself, the very idea that you can become better itself comes from where? Not somebody from outside pushes it on you. Not somebody from outside thrusts it on you. It is your own intrinsic nature. This is your own intrinsic nature. Convince pandradha Vedanta's first priority. That's what knowledge does it. The very knowledge is driving this. What? You are seeking liberation not because you are driven by something from outside. It is your own intrinsic nature that is driving you. Until you get there, you will not rest content. Swamiji's extraordinary example, the coiled spring. We have seen it any number of times. Remember that example, the coiled spring? 4 feet coiled spring. It is compressed to 1 feet. There is a pressure to get back to. There is a pressure to get back. Release it to 2 feet. There is a pressure. Release it to 3 feet. Still there is pressure. 4 feet? No pressure. What drove the coiled spring to come back? For its own, it is its intrinsic nature. Are you able to follow? So every human being is seeking liberation driven by their own intrinsic nature. Not understanding this, people believe. That is why in some other class I said, what is liberation, what is moksha word again, we need a clarity first. Because we all think moksha means escaping, liberating from something, no? Seeking liberation is why, because that is your intrinsic nature. Number one, you have forgotten your intrinsic nature. Okay. Have you truly forgotten your intrinsic nature? That is impossible. You can't forget your true nature and all. Then what is all this? Then what is all this that we are doing? The class, the karma yoga, the study, the knowledge, the spiritual sadhanas, the practice, the jnana yoga, meditation, realization. What is all this? To remove the temporary covering. To remove the temporary covering. So, are you okay, Bhaskar? So, you are seeking liberation because it is your intrinsic nature.
So typically, we have always thought that being limited, we have an issue, we need to solve the problem. It's always an action-oriented attitude that we have had.
Correct.
So even when it comes to spiritual principles, we feel that there is always a next step to take.
Correct.
Rather than looking within. So maybe it's a conditioning of the way we think.
Yes, that is because of the extroverted conditioning. Correct. You are perfectly right. That is why the same conditioning we cannot bring into Vedanta and try to apply it in Vedanta and ask for spiritual evolution. For here, the entire logic is completely different. The path is different. The methodology is different. The logic, the reason, the analysis itself is different. What is it? You are seeking liberation because it is your intrinsic nature. Though in a very limited way, in some other context, we talk about bondage, sorrow, suffering, and all that. But that is not real Vedanta. That is to help a person to understand certain realities of life we talk about. But when we are talking about liberation, it is not freedom from pain. Liberation is not freedom from pain. Liberation is not freedom from limitation. Liberation is not freedom from ignorance. Liberation is recognizing your true intrinsic nature. So yeah, did I answer you, Bhaskar?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Why did the divine send us with these limited senses? Again, Bhaskar. Answered, huh?
Answered.
Answered.
That
Correct.
was the limited self.
Correct. Answered already. Yeah. Answered already. So that question, divine, it is, and the assumption is we are the created and there is a creator. We are the created and there is a creator. Vedanta says there is no creator creating anything. Therefore, we cannot blame the divine for sending us with the senses. So, Bhaskar Shastri, it is answered. Okay. Venkatachalam. He said it, that is all. You answered my question. Venkatachalam's question also answered. Yeah. Now, patient all questions get answered. Already heard. Oh my God. Settana. Rupa has already heard it. I am finished. From 9:30, you cannot. My phone will be busy for the next 3 hours, sir. She will left, right, and center. She will finish me off now. So I should switch off my. Okay. Rupa. Yes. So all the clarifications are taken up in relation to what we have discussed till now. So all worldly knowledges are dependent knowledge. Dependent knowledge means how do you know that you are existing? You know that you are existing only because of you able to perceive, feel, and think about the objects outside. So the recognition that you are there is dependent on the other. Similarly, the other is dependent on you to know their existence. So you are dependent on the other is dependent on you. Yeah. This is called anyonya. In the Mimamsa Shastra, this kind of cyclical dependency is called anyonya. What in the modern day language they call as catch-22. Yeah, it is dependent on that, and that is dependent on this. So when one goes out, the other will automatically. When one goes, the other will automatically go. Therefore, the knowledge of Brahman, the knowledge of Atman is entirely different. Each and every verse gives one simile. The simile in verse number 4 is like the shines itself like the sun when the cloud passes away. Yes, Bala. Bala has a clarification. We will take it up and we conclude. Question: is Swayambhu same as self-emergent, self-manifestation, self-existence? Swayambhu. Swayambhu means self-emergent, self-manifestation, self-existence. So the self-emergent, the self-manifestation, the self-existence means for it to come into existence, it doesn't have a cause. Self-emergent, self-manifestation, self-existence means that existence doesn't precede, that existence is not preceded by a cause. That's why it is called causeless cause. Swayambhu means causeless cause. For example, you go to some of the temples, they say Swayambhu deity, no?
Yeah, Swayambhulingam. Yeah, that's where my question came. Yeah,
Swayambhu deity. Actually, it will not be in the shape of the linga and all Swayambhu.
Correct.
Swayambhu deity, it will not be in the shape of the. It will not be in the shape of the Audayar. You go to the Brihadishwara temple, there is the linga there. It is not Swayambhu because of the perfect shape and size, the geometry and all that. You know that it is
man-made.
It is made. It is man-made. Swayambhu means it will be a shapeless existence. A shapeless existence, but divinity is seen in that.
Okay.
Now, my my family deity temple in the Shasta is a Swayambhu there. You go there, it will be just 3 stones there. You will not even know that it is the deity. Only when they cover it up and they put one decoration and all that, oh, Abbada, oh, this looks like divine. Now, Swayam Prakashate means to explain that God is already existing. It need not be created and avahanalam panna thevilla, for it is there already.
Okay. There is no need to do pratishtha either. Already
Yes,
it has been.
There is no need. Nothing of that happens.
Okay.
Because only when he is not there, you have to bring him and all that. No.
Correct. Yeah.
Only where is the it is said when Guru Nanak went to Mecca, he was praying in a different direction. They say, I really do not know whether it has happened or not, but the concept is correct. When he went to Mecca is proven. He went to Mecca, and when he went to Mecca, you all should pray in one direction, no?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, நம்ம கூட நமஸ்காரம் பண்ணும்போது எது ஈஸ்டர்ன் கேட்டுன்னா we will prostrate, no?
Correct.
It means what? As though the other things are divine. Now it has a very limited purpose, but it doesn't. But the very concept of divinity there is very much narrowed down.
Okay.
Here, when in the Atmabodha in Vedanta, what we are talking about is where divine alone is existing.
Okay.
Where divine alone is there everywhere, all this thing becomes redundant.
Sure. Okay.
In the initial stages, where you can't see divinity everywhere, you need to really, in the initial stages, it is because of your limitation, you have to project a divinity in something and worship in that. Now, divinity is not restricted to that, but you need to bring in there because of what? Because of your limitation. Now, when we do that, you don't understand it is because of your limitation you are doing that, but you actually believe divine is restricted to that.
Sure. Thanks. My question actually, maybe I should have been clear. It was more of a linguistic question than the ideal, the symbolism concept in Vedanta.
Yes.
Idol worship, it is more of linguistics. The Yajnavalkya, when he told to Maitreyi, self-emergent, did he use the word, Sanskrit word, Swayambhu?
No. Swayambhu will not be used at all. Swayambhu is Swayambhu is linga. It is a form.
So Swayam, that's a 2 words, that's Swayam and Bhu. That
yes.
is not same as self-emergent or
No. Swayam Prakashate.
Okay. Oh, Swayam Prakashate is
Swayam Prakashate. It is not Swayam. Bhu means existence.
Oh, that's like
existence implies coming into a form.
Got it. The physical reality is the physical world. Bhu,
yes.
Bhuloka is Bhu.
Yes.
So,
correct.
Physical presence.
Bhu means a physical reality.
Okay. Got it.
So you cannot bring in that physical reality here.
Okay.
What he means by Swayam Prakashate is that which is existing already.
Okay.
That which is present already, you recognize.
Okay.
Number 1. Number 2, you have no choice but to recognize it. Okay. Number 3, even if you are not recognizing it and declaring that it is not there, you are taking the support from that only to declare that it is not there.
Okay. I understand.
The moon step.
Okay. Yeah. That reminds me, many the theologies, my limited knowledge, the prakasham you mentioned, the light itself is symbolized in the form of the divinity because of whether it's our Purushottam or the biblical thing, where the God create panara, then the light came. So probably that is that itself is a manifestation in the process. I don't know.
Why they use light is because in the pratyaksha, in the manifested world, the closest that can take you to give you a vague glimpse of what divine is the light.
Okay.
That is why all religions worship this light.
அதனால sun god வந்து because
Yes.
அதுக்கு இன்னொரு ஆப்ஜெக்ட்
That
எல்லாம்
is why in the Gayatri, sun god is the Brahman.
Okay.
The Gayatri sun god itself is the Brahman. Why? Because the sun, the light is the closest to
the Prataksha Deva.
Prataksha. Why? Because it illumines everything, but doesn't need its own. It doesn't need anything to illumine itself. So light is that which can do two things. It self illumines and it illumines everything around that also.
Okay, correct.
Light has this quality of illumining itself and illumining everything around it.
Okay.
So in that sense, Swayam Prakashate.
Okay, understood.
Prakashate means it is already there.
Okay.
Already there means what is implied here is already there means it has transcended time. It is existing at all periods of time.
Okay.
In fact, to say that it is linguistically wrong to say existing at all periods of time, because the existing, how can anything exist at all periods of time the moment we say time?
Correct.
But then these are all indicators.
Okay.
These are all indicators to say that there is something that is self-effulgent.
Thanks. இது எந்த உபனிஷத் சொன்னீங்க? யாக்ஞவல்க்யா.
Yajnavalkya Maitreyi discussion happens in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad.
Okay, Brihadaranyaka. So in the most of the Upanishad that you quote are they are like comes from the unknown authors, or they are author based?
Unknown authors. So we don't know who the author is.
So all the Upanishads are unknown authors.
Unknown authors.
Okay. அப்பனா இப்ப இந்த சில யாக்ஞவல்க்ய உபனிஷத் அதுல அப்படினு சொன்னார் அப்படினு he wrote that or he quoted
Krishna,
that?
Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna.
Okay.
And Krishna says, this is what I learned from my masters.
Okay.
You go to Yajnavalkya. Yajnavalkya says, this is what I learned from my master. Now you keep going back. Who is the first master?
Unknown author. Okay.
Unknown dang. Sadashiva Samarambam.
Okay. So in the rendu per husband and wife conversation happened. In that conversation, he quoted the Upanishad. That's correct. The way we should interpret.
Yes, that is the way. Whenever we say Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, we say we understand that Krishna doesn't claim authorship for Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
When Yajnavalkya says it knows itself by itself, Maitreyi, exact words. Svayam Prakashate is the word Shankaracharya borrows from the Upanishad.
Okay.
And Yajnavalkya says, this is what I learned from my master. And if you keep going back, who is the first master? Unknown.
Okay.
That is why Vedanta are called Sanatana Dharma without an author.
Okay.
Without an author na anada kadayadu, authorless kadayadu. It transcends our limited intellect.
Okay. Understood.
Seriya?
Thank you. Thanks. And idhila ore or clarification on the relative knowledge and absolute knowledge.
Yes.
Earlier you mentioned in the class verse 1 adu vidya apara vidya rendu vidya nu sonninga. Can you please remind me what is the limited and relative and absolute knowledge? One is apara vidya.
Relative knowledge is, as I explained today, relative knowledge is the knowledge that is related to something.
Yeah, the linguistic terms in Sanskrit la apara vidya and rendu sonninga.
You want
the names for
I should do one Sanskrit class for Bala separately.
Sorry.
Because he's converting into a Sanskrit class.
Illa this certain things Upanishad nee quote pandrathu
the Sanskrit word is aparavidya, paravidya.
Para and apara are opposite.
Before you ask something about Sanskrit, you should know some Sanskrit.
Correct. I'm kind of
apara அப்படினாலே ஆன்னு சொல்லிட்டாலே நான் வந்துருதுன்னா para.
Para is a kind of
Para is supreme.
supreme.
Apara
Okay.
is
Okay.
non-supreme,
Okay.
lower.
So
Okay.
Parabrahmam. Okay. So okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apara karyamnu சொல்றோம்.
Correct.
அப்படின்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்? Lower work.
Ah, okay.
Apara karyamna lower work. Apara means lower. Para means higher.
Higher.
Some people say, I will not do apara karyathukku enna koopradinga, I will not come, they will say.
Correct. Yeah.
ஏன்னா அங்க ஏன்னா அவன் பண்ண பாவத்துக்கெல்லாம் பிராயசித்தமா நான் பரிகாரம் கொடுக்குறேன், அந்த தானத்தை வாங்கிக்கிறேன். I am not going to get into this kind of apara work.
Okay.
Now apara means lower, para means
higher, absolute. Okay.
Absolute.
Yeah, thank you. The reason I'm
relative
asking
means apara.
Okay.
Para means
absolute. Sorry.
High.
Supreme. Yeah, sure.
High.
Yeah, the various Upanishads when you quote and all that, right? That gives me a very connecting the dots. I'm able to do it. That's why I'm not obsessed with this terminology or linguistics. But the linguistics very clear because no problem now you misunderstand things. The Swayambhu and all that, right? I thought it is self-manifestation. Looks like that is the physical. See, this is the misunderstanding and all that comes in that.
Correct. That's why I said it is the physicality. Bhoonale material nartham, matter nartham.
Okay, so and the material concept Vedanta mix pandrathu it's wrong thing. Now I understand. Okay. Thank you so much. You clarified.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The words that is used in the Agama literature should not be interpolated, and all the terms and terminology that we use today are from the Agama's literature, Puranic literature. Agama literature means Puranic literature. Now the words they use there is, and the meanings and the meanings there is entirely different. Here we use it in an entirely different context. That is why before we study Vedanta, they say you should study the Vedic terminology, Niruktam. It has its own terminology, it has its own language, it has its own meanings. So all the words that we use in these classes, and especially even when I use Sanskrit words, I always use it in the context of the Vedantic meaning, not in the Puranic sense. Chariya? Yeah. With this, we conclude for today, and next week we continue with verse number 5. Was it okay right through, or it was breaking, Bhaskar?
No, it was perfect after that. Huh? No problem.
It was perfect. No, okay.
Yeah.
The first few minutes was not correct.
Correct.
Okay.